hashtag VCLP Summit 25. Thank you so much. And with that, let's move ahead and let's also now move on to the special address coming your way, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as businesses worldwide embrace sustainability, the integration of ESG principles have become a big game changer, enhancing efficiency, or for that matter, reducing costs, and also attracting investors focused on long-term impact. So to shed light on this crucial topic, we have with us someone who since 2018 has been steering Pure EV towards innovation, expanding its portfolio beyond electric scooters and driving the future of sustainable mobility. His strategic vision has positioned Pure EV as a key player in India's electric vehicle revolution. We have with us Dr. Nishanth Dongari, founder and managing director, Pure. So if I could please invite Dr. Nishanth Dongari to please come on stage. We'd like to hear his thoughts around ESG and the sustainability quotient. And ladies and gentlemen, while we're talking about mobility over here, let's also make our applause mobile over here, and let's have a huge round of cheer. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Dr. Nishanth Dongari, founder managing director of Pure.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we gathered here for the summit, and before I talk about the ESG, so let me phrase something what I have read in my college, IIT Bombay, almost like 15-20 years back. So in a world where equations are hardly even linear, one can't expect our lives to be. That's how I see the ESG when I was in IIT Bombay, almost 15-20 years back to now. So why I said non-linear? So almost a decade ago, it was more like a footnote item in our annual reports of the companies. It was more seen as a excessive cost burden or cost driver kind of thing. And today ESG not anymore like a footnote in our annual reports. It is forming the fundamental core of the business, whatever the segment we are in. Like, it's not just about the EVs or the energy storage. Like, we are in pharma, lifestyle, consumer brands, everywhere. Like, the ESG has become the core part of our business, and it has not anymore remained as a cost center actually. It has become more value generator, more revenue generator actually. And today, it's not just about like, we talk ESG, we drive the ESG in our as a core part of the business. And so coming to the ESG and the relationship between the financial, the fundamentals actually. So the sustainability and the financials or the balance sheet or like, our cash flows are not anymore like, mutually exclusive. So they are going hand in hand, they are married to each other. So, I mean, the way we look at the ESG at Pure, I mean, it's not just a mobility company, what we have thought like, the ESG is beyond the business, what we are looking at, the factories we run, the offices we run. So, I mean, when we look at our EV two-wheeler customers, like, so when we were talking about old batteries, so we thought like, why don't we bring some of the age-old batteries and do some refurbishment, add some technology value, and build a powerhouse with that, like, so just with that, like, we were able to save 60% of our diesel consumption, like, so a lot of carbon footprint, like, we were able to add. So that's how we see the ESG goals, the core mission of any company. So we don't see them as financially exclusive anymore. And as I say, like, ESG is not more of a moral value or ethical value anymore. Apart from the financial contribution, there is a lot of innovation going around, like, be it from the business model to the technology, what we wanted to bring actually. So when we talk about the ESG more at Pure level, we are looking at even from the supply chain, like, we are thinking of I mean, beyond EVs, like, when we talk about the energy storage, like, it's all going to the lithium batteries or some technology batteries. But when we talk about the manufacturing of cathode, anode, like, electrolyte, so the way we are looking at is like, how do we make them more and more sustainable? Sustainable in the sense, like, how these technologies can last longer, so that, like, we are leaving minimalistic environmental impact, So how do we move it from 5 years life cycle to 15 years, 20 years life cycle? And that is where the technology is going to play a very significant role in the coming future, because we are all talking about EVs, and now the buzzword has become AI actually, and be it the overall infra growth the country is going to see. But where all the power is going to come from? So nobody is asking this fundamental question. So it's all going to be heavy power demand. You talk about the EVs, you talk about battery swapping, you talk about AI data centers. Today I saw news announcement in Tamil Nadu that the CM has set up a data center worth 4,000 crore, but in a maybe in a half of the hall of this size, it is going to consume a power of 72 megawatt. Even at IIT Hyderabad, we have set up a supercomputer of 1000 teraflop. It is going to consume a live power of 4 megawatt. The size of the supercomputer is just maybe where I stand here. So where all the power is going to come from? So these are the very fundamental questions we have to answer. We know that AI, data analytics, machine learning, this is going to the future across all segments. So we have to become very, very conscious. Neither the conventional coal nor the renewables like solar and all is not going to be just answer. So something beyond we have to think, because the mornings and late evenings are the peak power demand drivers. So everything, whatever we are going to create today in the country from a GDP perspective, it is going to demand a lot of power. So we definitely have to think beyond what we are doing in terms of the renewables or the energy storage or the EVs actually. So we have to definitely connect the dots and talk and do something beyond where it reduces the overall carbon footprint what we are creating today. So, and coming to the long-term vision on the ESG. So the ESG is, when I look at not from a 5 years, 10 years context, but when we talk about 2047 or 2070 actually as a net zero. So to become net zero, given the demand growth what we have in the country actually, the net zero is very, very critical. So world target is 2050 or the country's target is 2070. So where we have to focus is where it matters the most. That is the fundamental research, especially in the material science actually, because that is what will give us a lot of edge today for the country, because you cannot anymore import the critical rare earth materials or the raw materials. If I have to look at for the next 20 years, 30 years, 40 years actually. And when we talk about the rare earth materials, what kind of environmental impact they are going to have, when we recycle them, can we refurbish them? And so landfilling is something which we will have to avoid. So I think the country in the next 30, 40 years, if you are talking about the energy transformation, AI transformation, be it about the computer chip and all, it's all going to be dealt by the 17 rare earth materials, what I fundamentally believe. And that is what is going to form the shape of the ESG as a long-term vision for the country. And so that's if you are able to crack the material science and the either manufacturing or have more and more strategic influence on these 17 rare earth materials. I think apart from the 4-5 industry segment I spoke, the entire ESG or the net zero will be under our control. Definitely we'll be able to achieve the net zero not by 2070 but maybe by 2050 actually. So that's the long-term vision and the focus I feel that we as a country should have from a ESG perspective. And thank you very much. Thank you to VCCircle and the organizers for giving us this opportunity to be here. Thank you very much.